Yesterday, 2 men who were involved in a surgery mix-up at Kenyatta National Hospital were discharged at a time when the facility is facing a lot of questions following the bungled operation. But a quick question, Senator. 160 MPs have already appended their signatures seeking to impeach the CS. Do you think it will happen?
No, it will not. It will not. It's the same impeachment that was done for Governor Waiguru. It will go nowhere.
It won't happen.
It's an attempt, of course, by somebody to push a tribal agenda. From what I've seen in the press, the MPs, it has taken a tribal angle. Means the people who are pushing for the agenda are the ones who are saying, Koros belongs to us. Koros is Kalenjin, don't impeach her. And therefore, they should not act. Let me tell you, the truth is that the president will not allow this to happen.
Yes.
This is just an attempt to bully her, which I disagree with, because we must, this is the first, I think, cabinet secretary who has taken action, what would be political responsibility, pending an investigation. When CS Mailu, who comes from Makueni, was put under a similar probe, he didn't take that sort of action. Yes. But we, the members of parliament from Ikamba'hate, did not stand up and say, protect him. In fact, I'm the one who went to defend the doctors when CS Mailu was pushing for them to be jailed. Wow. And therefore, this should not take a tribal angle. The fact is, something went wrong. This gentleman appearing in the newspaper, his head was opened in a government facility. In a modern country, we would pay millions of shillings for that mix-up, medical negligence. Yes. We are now taking the tribal political angle of it as opposed to addressing the question, how do we make Kenyatta National Hospital a true medical facility for purposes of ordinary Kenyans?
And we're talking about tribe. Speaking of tribe, the Cohesion Commission says police are looking for 2 musicians whose song Ikamba has been condemned for using derogatory language against the Kamba community. The commission's chair, Francis Ole Kaparo, spoke as Makueni County Assembly passed a motion to sue Isaiah and Waharaka for the Ikamba song, which they said contravenes Kenyan laws on cohesion and integration. Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua and his Nyeri counterpart Mutahi Kahiga also condemned the musicians, saying the song could inflame passions between Kikuyu and Kamba communities. The 2 governors said they would institute measures to reconcile Kiambu Governor Ferdinand Waititu and his Kitui counterpart Charity Ngilu.
We strongly condemn utterances and actions that have been recently undertaken that perpetuate tribalism and hatred among the Kamba and Kikuyu community. These actions and utterances are despicable and contrary to law and order and the hallmarks of a civilized society.
One people, the Akamba and the Agikuyu are one people, and we must work together. We must not allow ourselves to be broken apart or anything set us apart through the machinations of any other person.
Curiously, and this is purely coincidental, Senator from Kiambu Kimani Wamatangi just joining the panel. Good morning, Senator. Karibu sana. I was listening to that story and I just realized we have 2 senators representing those 2 groups, one from Makueni and the other one from Kiambu. What do you have to say about this? It would be nice to hear the senator's perspective on this. Let's start with you, Senator.
I want to say that this is one incident that has really upset me in the sense that there was no reason whatsoever for these 2 young men, completely misguided, to actually go to great lengths to shoot such a video. 2, to disclose that I've already lodged a complaint, official complaint, both to the DPP and to the NCIC. I'm recording my statement this morning on this particular one because they have, I'm told they have decided that they must be charged for hate speech. So therefore, we cannot massage something like this. If there was an issue and some initial reason about, say for example, Chakoban, that it should be addressed from that perspective and not to insult everybody. The sense of modernity. The Kikuyus and Kambas have lived harmoniously. They are trading harmoniously. You cannot imagine the impact if this was to be taken seriously, the impact it would have all over Ukambani and other places, and revenge attacks. If you go to a place called Kambiti and you're driving all the way to Nyeri, one side is Kambas, the other side is Kikuyus, and businesses trading. Every Monday, every Friday, the people who deliver vegetables to my hometown market called Kikima, the people who collect macadamia, this sort of thing cannot be allowed. And therefore, I disagree even with the method adopted by Alfred Mutua and his colleague. People must face justice. The rule of law must be followed. For once, we must show that the law that we have enacted has got teeth to bite, because this will continue. I've made a statement, and my colleague Kimani Wamatangi, Senator, can confirm that in fact we have asked for that video to be pulled out of the internet, because the government has got that facility. Yes. And I mentioned an incident that happened, that somebody attempted to post the video of the attack on our forces in Somalia, Adelaide. That video was pulled out of the internet as quickly as possible before it spread that sort of message to Kenyans to cause fear and desperation. The same should happen to people who post such things, because their only intention is to cause hatred. That you can talk about feeding of dogs, feeding of mangoes. You know, it's like you're laughing at somebody who's suffering, who's hungry, something like that.
Senator Kimani Wamatangi, this is the first time we're seeing two counties appearing to be at loggerheads since the wake of devolution. We're now seeing one governor taking the other governor to court. But what are your sentiments with regard to this particular story, that song that your colleague here was talking about?
To begin with, Fred, it's absolutely not a situation of two counties against each other. They're not. And, you know, the problem we've been having, the challenge that we must face first, and we've boiled these, we've cooked it now to real serving it as a meal on the table, is the plate of and the meal of impunity. Whereby you find, for example, and this happens at the top. The worst it happens at the top. And you see now what is happening is really a cascading down, because from the top where leaders are supposed to be taking responsibility, they don't. And for example, look at the genesis of this issue is the utterances that were first made by the governor of Kitui. And I'll tell you, you know, for a mature elected leader, there is nothing so difficult as coming out in public and saying, I apologize if this cost people pain, and my intention probably was not to have people's vehicles banned, for example. You know, I mean, once you start from that point of taking responsibility, making an apology, and making good of that scenario, whichever way, then you get to first address that. But look at what happens. Most of the time when people at the top are guilty of this big offense, themselves inciting people, and if you look at what gains there are across the board, it's nothing. It's not worth it. I mean, it's just simple political mileage. And unfortunately, top leaders get away with it all the time. All the time. And so it now cascades down to the masses, where they take it anyhow. I'll tell you one thing. I have been to Ukambani myself many times, in many political meetings and rallies, and also as a senator. I remember there was a time I was with Senator Mutua in Tangere.
Donated a tank.
Yes, and I donated a tank there to
a water tank.
They always carry tanks around.
Yes.
and you see, the mutual feeling between the communities is not that. I mean, the people are good, they have no issues, they want to make a living of themselves, and they don't even remember those things. All these things are cooked about and served on these people by the top leaders, and so that's what I'm saying. And if we want to change this, we have to make sure that we have to ensure that responsibility is taken directly to where it is supposed to be by the top guys. I mean,
do you think the NCIC is doing a good job? Because really, this thing, as you said, is being blown out of proportion now. Don't you think that the NCIC has a duty to actually contain it from the moment it starts, before it gets to
no, not only contain it, Fred, but act decisively. Act decisively. Because, you know, you hear that this story started with a video running around. In fact, I had not even seen it first, of Governor Charity Ngilu making some statements, and then it went around, it whipped emotions. And instead of NCIC acting decisively at that time, someone call her, get to the bottom of it. If it is a matter of prosecution, prosecute her. If it's a matter of taking it to public domain and let her give a public apology. Yes. Remember, there are many times when NCIC have even had themselves asking people to offer an apology. And whichever way, or even compensate, whatever, but take decisive action. Don't wait until things have boiled down there. And then you let it go to the masses, and people will interpret it. They will do things that now you see like what is being done. Because, you know, first of all, we have to agree that two wrongs don't make a right.
Not at all.
Yeah, you see, so we have to be very clear about this. And I want to implore upon Kaparo. He's been on this job now for long. He's been there for a long time. Yes. No, it's just about time. He has to start taking action or call it quits. What do you think about the NCIC?
It's moribund. That organization is moribund. I don't know why it exists. And I want to agree with Senator Kimani Wamatangi to the extent that this is a spillover of impunity. That no tangible action appears to have been taken on any of the top leaders, MPs, governors who have spewed vitriol, tribal hate. They pretend that you're investigating. Some of these cases is open and shut. I will start the case tomorrow if I was a magistrate or a judge, close it within a day, jail somebody. Yeah, I mean, let an MP lose their seat for uttering this sort of tribal hatred, because what is called hate speech is speech that is supposed to antagonize communities. That you have made a statement not to antagonize Wamatangi as a person, but to antagonize a community against the other. That is the actual definition of hate speech, where you speak in your mother tongue, dialect, and so that you appeal to emotions. And that is what this music is doing. And that's what I'm saying. And I argued, by the way, with one of my colleagues in the Senate. And I said, and his defense was at the time that, you know, sometimes when you're doing local politics, sometimes you have to do these things. And I said, I have not had to do it myself to be a leader. And if I get to that level, I would rather go back to my law firm to do my work there, because there's no reason to incite tribal hatred so that you get elected. And therefore, we must get to a point where we say enough is enough. Remember, part of the gains of the Serena team were NCIC. NCIC is an organization that has been given birth by the Serena negotiation. Other than land, one of the things to deal with is these people who spew hatred. Yes. Imagine, and I've discussed this before, how many cases have we done on election petitions? We have sat throughout. I've sat in a case where we sat in court throughout for 2 weeks, and the cases are completed judgment issued. How many cases on tribal hatred, I call it vitriol, bigotry, has been prosecuted successfully? And why do we... And someone gets convicted. And that's what I'm saying, successfully. Somebody wears uniform. You know, you're in committee, even if it's for a day. Remember, doctors doctors went to committee for contempt of court. For contempt of court for a day. That's what would happen if one MP, was jailed. and to lose their seat. Nobody would do it.
And Fred, just to finalize it, you see, now once you fail to take action at that level, now it peels down to the masses because they don't see anything else then, and it doesn't happen to you, then they take it up.
They know nothing will happen to them.
And they do what they have to do, because now they themselves, they don't have the power. So what else do they do? They will spread rumors, they will sing about it. You get what I mean?
It's not even a laughing matter.
The big shots are getting away with it. And I remember yesterday in the Senate we were debating the violence in Mount Elgon. Yes, I mean where murder is occurring day and night with unbelievable impunity. And if you go down to the history of the violence in Mount Elgon, it's always been about hate speech. It's been about hatred being taken.
But as you said, Senator, two wrongs do not make a right. Let's end that discussion there and take a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at some more headlines. We might have to revisit some big ones so that we can get the opinion of the senator from Kiambu, but that after the break.